Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa, broadcasting live out of the UBN Go studios in Burbank, California with Tony Sweet, my fabulous sound engineer and producer and not show producer, but the entire kit and caboodle for UBN Go, who I've been with for, drum roll please, today is celebrating 8 years on the air. On the air, on camera, and I'm so grateful that you're all still here with me. This is a show about hope and happiness, so there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all, because I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. And y'all, welcome to all my syndicated iHeartRadio listeners and supporters and watchers, as well as I'm now not on just once on my syndicated CNBC, NBC News Radio channel, KCAA, Saturdays at 6 and Mondays at 6. And you're going to be hearing pretty soon these little shorts called Finding Peace in the Middle of a Pandemic. I was just asked, remember Charles Osgood Files? I'm so grateful that they want me to do 90-second shorts. So I'm going to be continuing to splatter more hope and happiness to all of you. And I couldn't think of a better way to share my 8 years. You know, I'm all about happiness. You know about the book, 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are, that hit the bestseller list. Well, hey, happiness and happy days. And I know that you so enjoyed both times I've had Anson Williams on, Potsie, and the beloved Mrs. C, Marion Ross, who came on a couple years ago. She was 79, and at the time she came into the studio and was such a delight. Tony, I know there's a picture of her there. Unbelievable. She is so adorable, and I had such a good time with her. And so I've actually been asking about Ralph Malph for a little while. My friend, who was also on my show, Dr. Mary Hensley from Ireland, has been like, oh, Donnie this, Donnie that. And I'm like, hey, when can I get Ralph Malph on the show to round out all of this? Ron Howard's next, then Fonzie. But, and then I get this email from Harlan that says, if you want to have Donny Most on the show, I'm like, oh, yes. So the rest is history. I am so grateful and happy, literally, to celebrate my 8 years for this show with Mr. Donny Most, Ralph Malph from Happy Days. Woohoo!
Hello, doctor.
Here we are. There's your applause. Do you hear the applause?
I do.
Oh, good.
Congratulations on your anniversary, 8 years.
Oh, thank you.
That's terrific. Thank
you. 422 consecutive weeks on the air, but who's counting?
That's fabulous.
Thank you. And I was surprised that you're not just an actor and you're not just a director, but you're a musician. So we're gonna do a little music here. You didn't know that. I'm pulling this on you now. But
no, you didn't know. I didn't know that. I hope it's from. I hope it's from my more current album.
Actually, I was gonna make you sing Acapulco.
Oh. Well, I'm not so keen on that.
Okay, that's okay. I'm just kidding. But I'm so grateful to have you. And so I love doing this show because I get to know people who I adopt into my cool family, and I can tell already you're going to be one of them. Anson says amazingly wonderful things about you. Marion was so happy with the cast. So let's go back. Those of you who are listening, I don't know anybody that does not remember Happy Days. It was one of my favorite shows. Even my mother remembers it, and she still doesn't know what I do. But it was a wonderful, iconic, classic show. And I found out from Anson that Ralph Malph was not actually a character, that you are so good at what you do that you created the part. So let's go back there. Let's go back to the beginning. Did you
Okay.
always want to be an actor? Did you always think about this? So take me back to the beginning of time.
Okay. Yeah, I will, for at least my time. I did want to be actor and singer from the time I was pretty young. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I saw a movie. They had something called $1 Million Movie back then on the East Coast, where every night on Channel 9, they would pick a movie to play for the entire week, and they would show it twice a night every day, and then 4 times on Saturday and 4 times on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
So I was 9 years old, and somebody said, "Oh, did you see the Jolson story last night?" And I said, no, I didn't know anything about Al Jolson. And so I watched the movie, the biopic about him, who was considered the greatest entertainer of his time back in the 20s, and even before that, 20s and 30s. As a matter of fact, he was the one who was in the very first talking movie called in 1927 called The Jazz Singer. He was picked because he was so popular. So I watched the movie about him, and it impacted me in a very unexpected way. I just was so taken by not only the man and his spirit and his talent, his voice. There was something I couldn't even explain, and I wound up watching it like probably 14 times that week.
Wow. How old were you then?
I was 9.
9. Okay.
Yeah. So
pretty young.
So then I knew in my heart I wanted to sing and act, and but I didn't really want to admit it. It seemed kind of I don't know. It was people would make fun of me or something. I don't know why I thought that. But finally, when I was about 13, I sang at my bar mitzvah. I got up with the band and sang, and everyone was like really surprised. I did a Jolson song, and then at that point, I told my parents, "Yeah, I'd really like to pursue this in some way." So I they got me enrolled in a school in Manhattan, run by an old vaudevillian guy who taught singing and dancing and acting. And I eventually got picked about a year later to be part of a professional sort of review nightclub act. And so I spent the summer when I was 14, 15 years old, singing in the hotels and nightclubs of the Catskill Mountains, which was the resort area upstate New York. So that, I thought, wow, now I'd made it. But but then my father, he was smart, and he said, after that summer was over, he said, I think if you're serious about this, you should enroll in a more a serious acting class, because I don't think he saw that was really gonna.
At 14, working vaudeville is probably not every father's dream for a child.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were doing the Great American Songbook, So
okay.
So we was doing good material, but he just knew that this was not maybe the road, and so I enrolled in a more serious acting workshop and really got into it. And then I started. I met a woman who became my manager through the acting class, and then I started going on auditions and getting a lot of work and start off with television commercials, which was big in New York. And I did a lot of them, some national commercials. Some
like
small,
what?
Oh, McDonald's, Coca-Cola.
Oh, major.
Yeah, a Schick razor blade.
Do you remember one?
Oh, yeah, I remember a bunch of them.
Can you do one?
And there's one that you could look it up on YouTube. I did it with Robbie Benson.
Really?
Yeah, it was for Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. It was like we crashed. We were looking at a girl. We bump into each other, and I go, "You got chocolate on my peanut butter." He got one of those. And then there was one I did, a McDonald's one that Morgan Freeman was in. But
that's cool.
Yeah, but nobody knew, he wasn't famous then. I was before Happy Days.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of those and some TV, and then I went out to California for the originally just for the summer after my junior year in college. I was going to college in Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. Entered as an engineering major. And
Really?
Yeah. Well, that was my backup. My parents wanted me to
Right.
have a backup plan, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I went out there just for the summer, and I went on auditions and got some guest roles pretty quickly. And then my agent convinced me not to go back for my senior year. He said, just take 6 months off. You can always go back after, but they thought I had some momentum going.
Okay.
And then I stayed out there, and then eventually then I got another part pretty quick, and then nothing for like 3 months. And I went, oh, I made this huge mistake. And then the audition for Happy Days came up. So this leads to your original question, which was the role of Ralph and how did that come about? So what happened was I auditioned initially for the role of Potsie, and I went through a series of auditions for first with Tom Miller, one of the executive producers, then Gary Marshall, who was the creator,
Right.
and then a screen test. And I was screen testing for Potsie.
Right.
But so was Anson Williams, who had already done the role with Ron Howard 2 years earlier.
Right. In the pilot, he talked about that wasn't even the first time.
That's right. They did a pilot about a year and a half earlier, and it didn't sell. But then with the success when American Graffiti came out, and the Broadway show Grease about the 50s came out, then ABC went, wait a minute, didn't we have a show about the 50s? And maybe we should revisit that. But they said to Gary, you have to recast, because they thought that Ron and Anson would be too old now. And Gary's like, no, they can still do it. So, but he had to screen test them along with a whole bunch of other hopefuls, you know?
Right.
And I was one of those hopefuls. And they wound up going with Ron and Anson again, but they called my agent and said, the executives at Paramount and the producers, they were so impressed with my screen test that they wanted to give, there was a small character in the pilot. And they said they would cast me in that, but they would make that into a regular character and build it and become, guarantee me at least 10 out of the 13 episodes, that kind of thing. So that's how it happened. It was a small role in the opening episode, and I didn't have much to go on. But he was a wisecracking guy. He made jokes, and he was a little at the beginning. He was a little cooler because he wasn't as close with Richie and Potsie. But then as things developed, I became more an integral part.
Absolutely. I read somewhere, maybe this isn't correct, that it was a role for a sports jockey type, like a buff jock.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah,
You're still buff, but you're not a jock.
Right. Well, I was kind of into sports, but yeah, I mean, the original role, they just described him. He was a jock that was into cars. He was in a car club, and that was basically all they gave as a description to the character.
And who would have thunk that show would just, it was truly one of those shows that the family could, really get into and be entertained and laugh about, and, good programming, which I'm not going to say is few and far between, but it's few and far between.
Yeah.
But I just love that show. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering who I'm talking to today, this day celebrating 8 years for this show, it's none other than Ralph Malph from the classic, iconic, beautiful series, Happy Days. And y'all know I'm hashtag positively opinionated, always splattering more hope and happiness over you. So I can't think of a better guest to have on to celebrate today.
Thank you.
So, of course. Now, you also did some other TV stuff. I saw, like, what other shows have you been on that people would recognize?
I guess more recently, I had a recurring role on Glee. And then I did guest roles on all kinds of shows like Men of a Certain Age and Sliders and so many Chips and Star Trek Voyager. I did a two-parter where I played the villain in a Star Trek.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
My nephew was Ensign Kim. Garrett Wang. I don't know if you did anything.
I don't know if I worked with him. I don't think so.
No.
Because I was only on for 2 episodes. And but a ton of other ones, and and then some movies, a lot of independent films, and some bigger ones. I did Ed TV that Ron Howard directed, so I got reunited with him. That was the movie with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, and then as of late, and a lot of theater as well. I did a lot of theater during the years, and then as of late, I've been really busy. I have a movie that's on Amazon Prime right now. It just came out a couple of months ago.
And that's called?
It's called MBF, aka Man's Best Friend. But it's not, dogs are a big part of it, but not a family film. It's a pretty heavy, powerful film about a vet who's injured in Afghanistan. He comes back and trying to adapt, and something happens, and something pretty, I won't say, but something horrific. And then he has to go on trial, and I play his defense attorney. So it's a very different kind of role, strong, dramatic part. And then I did another movie called Lost Heart that's coming out at the end of the summer. I play a pastor, a local pastor, and it's a drama comedy. So a lot of different kinds of roles. And I was just doing theater. And then talk about Anson, I did something with Anson that was really special that I'm very excited about. And it's on, right, people could see it now. It's a pilot for like a new series called Harvest Time. And it's the first time that Anson and I have acted together since Happy Days.
Wow.
I mean, he's directed a ton of television. So he actually, I've worked with him in that capacity. He cast me in several shows that he directed, but this was the first time that we were acting together. And it's really interesting because it's very, very different than what people know us from and would expect.
Right.
Completely different tone, genre, and different characters. And that was sort of the idea of this pilot. A producer named David Levin came to Anson and I because we'd met him working on, he was interviewing us for certain shows, and he said, you know, I have this great idea for a series to take two iconic actors that have worked together, that have really good chemistry, and people would love to see together, but put them in something very different. That
is very different. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And he said, oh, that sounds interesting. Well, let's look at, you know, what the material is. And said, oh, well, I'm going to send you, there's this great playwright in New York who's written a bunch of one-act plays, and those could be the source material. And I'll send you a bunch. And Anson and I were like, okay, you know, maybe they'd be okay. Usually a lot of times they're not so good. And maybe there'd be one good one. Well, we were blown away how great Fred Stroppel's writing was. And everyone we read was terrific. And it was tough to pick which one we wanted to do, but we eventually settled on Harvest Time.
Yeah.
And it's out now. It was just premiered on, the producer decided this was a good time to bring it out. We did it a while ago, but we were waiting for the right time. Yeah. And he said, you know, people are at home, stop looking for new things to watch. Yeah. People would probably love to see the two of you together. They'll be a little thrown at first. Yeah, but it's such a gripping piece, and it's so good. It's
real. It is real.
It is very real. It's different than you know,
different than Happy Days.
Happy Days, you know, it was still a sitcom, but this is a gritty. It has comedy. It's very funny, but it's dark and real, like you said. Yeah, the language is raw at times, and it's I wish nobody warned me, so I went on. Like Carlin's like, here it is, you know, and I'm like, okay, and I'm all sitting down ready for Happy Days, and it's like, huh? Like what? But it's good. It's great acting. It's definitely great, and it's very real, and it's necessary, especially now. Like, we'll talk when we get back from break, just on your adjusting and your strategies right now during this time. But I love that, and I do want to talk about your music though, because I think that is. Because Anson's music too. Anson was telling me about, you know, he was a singer before anything. Right. And so it's really interesting how you guys have
horizontally and vertically integrated into your roles as, singer, performer, and all of that. So when did that start? And do you have siblings? Did anybody else in your family go entertainment?
No, my sister, she was involved in it in a sort of normal way, doing plays at school or camp, and she would take dance class, and she'd listen to a lot of music, but she didn't really pursue it. Like, I got bitten. But then I pushed the music as after that, as I mentioned, after that summer when I was 15, I switched my focus more into acting. But I knew that the music would come back at some point, and
it's never too late. I preach that all the time. There's a big BS in our society that I hope that we don't go back to when we go back to normal. And that is, you can only do one thing, right? You go to school, you get good at it, you go to a job that you not sure you like, and then you hate, but you stay because of the money, and then you're resentful and you're unhappy. That's the normal that people forgot that they came from. I just had an article in Medium published it about, going back to normal and that whole idea. But I before I forget to ask, so there's a romance too about Happy Days that happened. Tell me about this romance.
Well, it turns out it was the last season for me. I didn't know it at the time. I wound up, after the 7th season of shooting, my contract was up, and I decided, and that's maybe a different show that we could do because it's a long story. I decided for various reasons not to renew after 7 seasons. Ron Howard did the same thing that year, and he didn't renew. But luckily, there was a guest actress that came on to do a role in that season, and we hit it off. She had a small guest role, but we hit it off right away, and we were talking a lot during rehearsal, in between rehearsals, and there was a real attraction. And then I took her out for dinner the night that we were shooting Happy Days before we shot, and then we started dating, and 2 years later got married, and we're still married, and it's been 38 years now.
Wow, that's so awesome. And
so luckily,
Renee,
luckily I met her before I left the show.
And she already had a part, so we can't say anything about casting couch.
No, she'd gotten the part.
So that's beautiful. And it's Renee Hart, and she's an actress.
Morgan.
I'm sorry. I saw Reagan just, sorry about that. Morgan Hart, and you have children?
Yes, we have 2 daughters, 31 and 33. She put acting aside. She continued acting for the first 5 years of our marriage. Then when we decided we were going to have children, started that, she decided she was going to take a hiatus, time off from that while the kids were young during those really critical years,
formative,
and be with them.
Beautiful.
And so it was great that we could do that, and she did. And then when it was that time when she originally thought, okay, they're in school and maybe I can go back to doing some work, she realized she didn't want to do it anymore, and she just sort of gave it up. But she's been very creative, and we've been working on some projects together. We've written a TV pilot together, which is based on her experiences, because she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease 19 years ago.
Wow, my mom has it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For 20 years she's had it.
And Morgan's had it 19.
Wow.
But we developed this series together. We wrote, because she was writing a blog about, she started having experiences that she had a sense of humor about, like these crazy things would happen because of the Parkinson's, but she thought they were funny. And she goes, I got to write about this. And she wrote.
Good for her.
She wrote it, and people were like really it was funny, but then they learned something about what she was going through that they wouldn't have understood. And they said, you got to write more. She started writing all these episodes of the blog, and they were really good. And people said, you should do something with it. So we sat down and started adapting it into into like a half
That's
hour comedy with some drama, but
uh-huh.
there's the real her. She's got a very interesting slant on it with a sense of humor that you might think is sometimes it's a little irreverent, but it's great.
Well,
So
that's great.
so it came out great, and we have some people interested that are looking at it. So we'll see.
Mm,
So she's still active and having that creative part of her work at work
yeah.
right now. It would be tough for her to act now, probably.
Yeah.
It'd be
Thank you
tough.
for sharing that. I had no idea. I didn't even read about that at all.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I'd like to give both of you my Dr. Marissa Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award.
Oh, how
So
nice.
that's not to every guest, and I don't know if we got the applause because I can't hear it on the delay.
Well,
But
thank you.
but of course, because that's what is so delightful about living and human beings who take their specific hardship or something that is not great, and instead of complaining about it or hiding or isolating around it, they use it as a platform to really help lift the
Yes.
vibration around the planet. And that's why I'm giving you and your
Oh,
wife. That's such a
uh,
beautiful, I'm just so happy for
especially,
that.
especially from
Especially
Morgan.
your wife.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
especially. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And okay, so going back to the music.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We went for a little sidetrack.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's good. It's part of what is pushing me, a part of the input that I receive and how, like you said, how you channel it. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
the music. So what happened was I did some. It came into play in certain areas, like when I did some musical theater. So there was singing involved, and there were a couple of times where I went tried at jazz clubs putting together a big band, which I love jazz and swing and the big band kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
sound.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I did it, but back this was in the maybe late 70s, early 80s, and that music had kind of fallen out of favor, and it was looked upon back then as my parents and my grandparents' music.
Right, 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 right.
So it just wasn't the right time for, and that was the music that I really loved.
Mm-hmm.
But then when was a resurgence of the Great American Songbook, and artists like Harry Connick started really bringing it in, and
Yeah,
Diana
yeah, yeah,
Krall and Natalie Cole, and
yeah, yeah.
now Michael Bublé more recently, and all kinds of people started doing the Great American Songbook. Rod Stewart's done 5 albums of it. So I said, if I'm ever going to do it, now's the time.
Yeah.
So about 6 years ago, I said, I'm going to put together an act, and I'm going to find a way to do it. And pieces fell into place. Anson
The
introduced me.
universe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anson introduced me to a manager that booked people in this kind of setting. And then I picked a musical director who I had worked on something with years ago, and guy on the East Coast, Willie Scopatone. And we just put it together. And then the manager booked me into a jazz club in LA. And I said,
Catalina Jazz Club. Mm-hmm.
Well, the first one I did was Vitello's in Studio City.
Okay.
And then I did Catalina's, and they just went great. People loved it, and they were like very surprised. They didn't expect this.
Right. Ralph Malph on stage doing jazz. So we actually we have some points of possible 6 degrees of separation.
Oh, yeah?
Or 6 feet apart. COVID stay at home social distancing these days.
Yeah.
But let's see if you know any of these names.
Okay.
So I actually also sung once at Spaghettini's. I'm a retired lounge lizard. I used to do Sunset and Vine and Romeo and Juliet's. And some people say, I have like a pop jazzy. And on the show, Najee actually said I had a voice like an angel. I don't know if you know who Najee. I know that was a huge compliment. Yeah. And Keiko Matsui, jazz keyboardist, #1 Billboard. She's been on the show. She's my twin sister. Oh. And she would love to meet you. Oh, and terrific. I'm sure vice versa. And maybe we can put together a happy hour on Zoom where everybody gets together and does their music.
That would be fun.
I had Arturo Sandoval
Oh, wow. Yeah.
interviewed on the show. So you're on the same platform.
Yeah.
And I
That's awesome.
spoke at the Long Beach Jazz Festival,
Oh, did
the
you?
Health Pavilion. So I'm going to do that again. So
Oh,
maybe I'll
wonderful.
hook you up and see if there's some, you
Yeah.
know, sure, a way to put you on that. And I
Awesome.
also am a sponsor of the Catalina Jazz Festival on Catalina Island with Art
Oh,
Good. So we
oh,
can do some cross
yeah.
connection there.
Excellent. That'd be
We'll
excellent.
see what we can do.
I love
I
that.
love that part. I love that
Oh,
part of life. And we're all connected. We are
yeah.
all connected in beautiful ways.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
I'm getting the signal that it's time for me to thank the sponsors that make the show possible. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace, and I will be right back.
All right.
Is the virus making you crazy? Are you ready to duct tape your kids to the floor? Are you worried sick about your loved ones? Are you afraid of the collapse of the economy? Now that I have your negative attention, I'm here with great news. Join my Peace at Home movement and learn how to stay happy by moving from stay at home restriction to hashtag Peace at Home expansion. Every day at 10, learn something new from hashtag Dr. Marissa. Details at drmarissa.life. And this Friday, it's the foundation course called Loving Yourself Mastery. Join me there. All right, you are tuned in. We're back. You're tuned into my weekly talk radio TV show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get happy with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of Burbank, California with UBN Go Studios. And then Saturdays at 6, Mondays at 6 on my CNBC NBC News Radio channel, KCAA. That's AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on demand on Stitcher and iTunes and iHeartRadio. And this is a show about hope and happiness. So no gossip, no scandal, no K words. Did I say that already? No Kardashian talk. And if you've missed any of my past show with Potsie or Marion Ross, Mrs. C, or Marianne from Gilligan's Island, or Corey Feldman, or Arturo Sandoval, or Keiko Matsui, please go to my YouTube. It's a free download. You can watch those shows, especially now when you're maybe looking for something to watch besides the news, which is a weapon of mass distraction these days, and there's not much good news on. So go watch the programming. We have today, to celebrate my 8 years of this show, someone who's going to be my new friend now, joining Anson and Marion Ross, and that is Donny Most, who played Ralph Malph on Happy Days. All right, so any I know I said no gossip, but I lied. So any gossip from the show that you can talk about? Like, was there any personalities that didn't get along, or, anything, you guys all talk so well. There's no smack talk. I couldn't find anything to get anyone to say.
No, people try to dig that up. They they look for that, but there's none there. I mean, we got
truly
along.
were happy days.
Yeah, we got along. I mean, it was really special how this cast came together, and a lot of that had to do with coming from the top people, the creator of the show, Gary Marshall, and our director, Jerry Paris, who, they had been in the business and they set great examples for us. And Ron Howard, who had been in the business since he was 3.5 and had achieved stardom very early. And he had such a great work ethic and attitude. So he set a tone as well. Mm-hmm. And then it was just one of those things, fortuitous coming together of these personalities and talent. And we got along like a family. We really did.
That's awesome. And I know that you just helped Anson with his alert drops with the promotion or awareness of drowsy driving, which is awesome.
Yeah. Helping wherever I can. It's a great product that's helping. It's helped a lot of people. And in the times that we're in right now, it's proving to be very beneficial because of the fatigue that sets in, I guess, from the isolation and a bit of a depression, I would think.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute. How, it's funny because Anson, I didn't think he already came on. And then I got the email from Harlan saying, both of you are promoting this harvest time,
Yeah.
right? So I said, okay, invite him on again if he wants to come on. And he did. And I, forgot how well we connected. And we did this whole little blurb because it had just come out. So the whole fear, hair on fire, worst case scenario was out. And we did this little clip saying, just calm down, don't freak out, everything's exaggerated. And then it wasn't.
And it wasn't, right.
And then it wasn't. And it was like, oh,
Holy
shiitake,
yeah.
What the fork?
Right.
What are we going to do now? How have you sort of remained, or what's your strategy on you, both for yourself and your wife and your family, and then maybe your message to my listeners and watchers on how to stay positive, or how, I'm assuming it's going to be positive.
We have to find positive in it, and there is always potential for that and opportunity, I think. Well, for us, initially the thing that really helped us a lot in the beginning stages was being in nature as much as possible. So luckily where we live, I'm pretty close to a lake, and it's quiet around here. So it wasn't a problem to go out and take really nice walks and be, and the wildlife that's around. And that was very therapeutic for us. And then, when we're inside all the time, we started doing some of the normal things that I think people do, was like, oh, let's play some games, like when you were younger.
Yeah.
Whether it be board games or card games. And we started doing that. And then interestingly enough, we haven't been watching a lot of series television and even movies that much. And I love movies, but for some reason over the last, I don't know, 5, 10 years, I just stopped. I wasn't watching as much as I used to. And I don't know, I love acting in them, but and if a really great movie that I hear about, I'm going to watch. But, as in general, I'm just not watching that much. But Morgan, my wife, said, what we should do, during this time is, I haven't seen a lot of the early episodes, and let's watch Happy Days together. Let's watch. So I have CDs for the first idea. DVDs for the, and Happy Days. That'll kind of bring us some joy and lightness to the heaviness that is so pervasive.
Yeah.
So we started watching. I said, I've always wanted to watch them in sequence, because I hadn't seen the show in a long time, but I said, this is a great idea. I want to watch it in sequence, the way we shot it, so I could see how the characters evolved, see how my character evolved, and see how the show evolved.
Is it weird seeing yourself? Are you very critical? Are you a perfectionist?
It was tough when I first did it, when I would watch it back in the day when it was on. It took me a while getting used to watching myself, but this was so far, in the past, that I can watch it and it's almost like it's not me, it's like someone else,
Right.
But so we've been watching like about 2 episodes a night, and we're about halfway through the second season, and that's been helpful, and keeping us. I have to watch the news to some degree, but then it just gets to be so overwhelming that doing something like that, and then just a lot of quiet time. I've been helping, which I've never been much of a cook. The only place for me, I would barbecue, but I wasn't good in the kitchen. Yeah. But we've been doing some stuff in the kitchen together, and I've been helping. Sometimes it's, right now from Oregon, it's good for me to help. So in the kitchen. So doing that together, and then I guess the message I would say is I think, this is a time for maybe all of us to I think this is fairly obvious. I've heard other people say it, but I felt it very strongly. Like it's an opportunity to kind of slow down and look at things a little differently with a different perspective and reflect on it and examine things and self-reflection and all of that.
Yeah.
And there's certainly a lot of pain involved in this that you can't avoid, but maybe the upside will at least balance it out, or maybe even more than make up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. You're preaching to the choir. It's the, taking the pause, which is the bars this way, turning them this way. My hashtag is called Shut the Worry Up. And
shut the worry up.
Shut the worry up. Yeah, shut the worry up.
But isn't that easier said than done?
It is easier said than done, but I'm a firm believer. You have to release the negative energy. You have to, I'm pissed. I don't like this. A lot of negative things are happening. I don't want to stay in. You see the protesters now. I want to put every protester and connect them with someone who is a family member of someone who died of the virus, and then let's see who's going to protest. That's what I'd like to do on that one. But, you're right. It's a time for us to just stop, take a breath and say, okay, there's some, cookies in my browsers of belief that I need to delete. Are there some ways that I've been thinking in BC 19 before the virus that aren't working for me?
Right.
Right. Or is it a soft reboot, or is it a hard reboot? We really have time now to stop and ask the question, what really makes me happy? What really is life about? Am I really the best person I can be? Am I really truly 88% happy, 88% fulfilled? And so I'm hoping that you'll join my hashtag Peace at Home movement. And
how do I join that?
You just go to drmarissa.life and you put your email in. And then you'll get a kit called Ambassador Kit on how you can, just be part of this positive place, so people can, release their stuff and then come to a place where, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole from the first headline of news. It is important to hear the news. I go to LinkedIn because it's the most balanced for me. And most importantly, after 3 news stories, it says you're now caught up. And I can
really, three news stories,
and you're caught up.
Well,
and
that's good.
You don't have to go down that thing.
You don't have to get sucked in the rabbit hole.
Exactly.
So I go to, is it
drmarissa.life?
How to spell it?
Dr. D-R. Yeah, I'm a PhD. I'm piled higher and deeper.
Right. No, I knew you were a doctor, but I didn't know I didn't know if it was DR or DOCTOR.
Oh, no. drmarissa.life.
Okay, I will go
there. Yay!
I definitely will.
You'll be my celebrity ambassador. How's that?
Oh, nice. That's so nice.
And the last question I have for all of my guests is, who or what are you most grateful for?
Who or what am I most grateful? Wow. Well, I would have to say my wife.
Oh,
That's
I knew
I'm
that
most
was
grateful
coming.
for. Yeah.
That is
Absolutely.
truly. Next time you're coming on with her, because I would love, just that whole dynamic, when you are with someone who has some kind of, different ability, or, have some kind of chronic illness, what are your strategies? I think that's an important show to do.
Okay. I agree. And, if I'll talk to her about it. It depends on how. Sometimes she would be open and feel comfortable in that situation, and sometimes she's in a frame of mind where she might not. So I'll find. But I know that we could probably make that work. I would like to.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that, because that's real.
Yeah. And before I go, I want to let people know where they can see Harvest.
Yes. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
that's my final last question.
No, that's okay.
How do we find you and support you?
Yeah. So to see Harvest Time, Anson and I, the easiest way, it's on YouTube. It's available now, free. And you just would put in a search Harvest Time, and then one of our names, either Don Most or Anson Williams. Either one of them will work with Harvest Time, and you'll be able to watch it. And it's about 27 minutes, but people say it felt like it was like 10. But it's a good ride. It's a roller coaster of emotions, and
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Please go see that as well. I want to watch your movies.
Yeah.
So tell me again.
Yeah. You should take a look at MBF.
MBF. Okay.
On Amazon Prime, and Man's Best Friend. It's a powerful film, and there's a lot of really important things in it that I'd be curious to hear what you think.
I will absolutely give you a peace sign review.
Terrific.
That's
Thank
great.
you.
That's
and again,
great.
congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you so much. Do you mind doing this little thing with me? This is what Halle Berry's done it on the carpet, and John Travolta with me, and Quincy Jones. So this is peace in. So say peace in.
Peace in.
Peace out.
Peace out.
World peace.
World peace.
Through inner peace.
Through inner peace. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you
That's
so
wonderful.
much, Donny Most.
Thank
you,
Dr.
for
Marissa.
spending your time here and celebrating with me.
I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Woohoo. That was so awesome. And now I get to invite you all to the end of the show. Welcome to my balance bar. There's the little ring-a-ding. This is where I invite you to join me at the different things that are going on. This Friday is actually a celebration, my first foundation course for the hashtag Peace at Home movement, called Loving Yourself Mastery. So I really do think that this is a good time if you're a person who has, wondered why people avoid you, or why you have that critical voice that tells you you're not good enough, or why things just don't go well for you, why you keep sabotaging yourself, why you don't feel like you love yourself. Self-hatred and self-loathing are epidemics that are at an all-time high with the way things are in BC 19. So join me Friday. It's on Eventbrite. Just put Peace at Home, and you'll find me to be able to enter. It's only $44, so it's not a lot. It's just it's an investment for yourself. And then I am welcomed right now as the opening speaker for the Life Mastery Foundation, the Summit on Loving Yourself. So the talk is called, Why Is It So Hard to Love Me? So same theme. So that is May 5th. I'm the opening speaker. You'll go to my social, Doc Balance on Instagram, Dr. Marissa on Facebook. Unfortunately, I'm my limit of friends. So just follow me there. Go and give me the finger, this one. And that way you can stay informed and be able to participate and work with me. 10 a.m. every morning. I'm still teaching my Power Chi, my moving meditation that promotes inner peace, one breath at a time. So we can do this. Do not give up on anything, because you can go to Medium, published 2 of my articles. One has every day is a mental health day, so take it. And the other one is an COVID-19, an opportunity for a lifetime, your lifetime. So plenty of ways to drink my Kool-Aid and put on my rose-colored glasses. I want you to feel good because, 1, you deserve it, and 2, because stress will compromise your immune system. So I'm all about you all staying as healthy and as happy as possible 88% of the time. Why 88? 100% happy, you're dead. We don't want that. 8's a lucky number in Chinese, double good fortune. So please stay with me. Peace in, peace out. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live from Burbank, California on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get happy with Dr. Marissa. Peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace.